Happy Sunday, Evelyn. Happy Sunday to you. I hope you are well. I always got to get my chair adjusted. You would think I should do that up front, but nevertheless, happy Sunday. Hope everybody is well. I am going to give it a couple of minutes, give folks time to join. Good morning. How are you? Glad y'all are here. Hope everybody has been having a good weekend. Good morning. Good morning. Thank y'all for being here. Hope everybody is doing good this Sunday morning. It is a beautiful, sunny Sunday here. I haven't been outside yet, but it seems like it might be nicely warm. It is not snowing like Evelyn. Absolutely not. No. You keep that up there with you, Evelyn, up there in the north. We're going to let you have all of the snow. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday, Teresa. I hope everybody is doing well. All right, I'll get started. I'll do my intro before I forget to do my intro. Y'all know how I get. I get off track, get to chatting, and don't do what I'm supposed to be doing. So happy Sunday. Welcome. As I introduce myself, I am Jewel Pearson, and I built a tiny house in 2015 because I want to live and know freedom. And it's fancy because I don't believe you have to give up luxury to go tiny. I am a lifestyle architect and strategist and a longtime advocate for intentional living and representation in the tiny house movement. And after living tiny for over a decade, I use my experience and my expertise to help others create intentional, self defined lives through design, through downsizing, through our community. And if any of that sounds like something you want to be involved in, be here in our community, connect with me. You'll find links to do so in the video description. We also have an offline community that where we can connect in deeper ways. So join us in one of those spaces if that resonates with you. I always say it's not just about the tiny house. And as I am aligning the things that I do and the way I live and the work that I do, it is about exiting hustle. It is about designing home. It's about living intentionally. It is about liberation. So it's all about those things and not just about a tiny house. And that's the stuff that we talk about over here. All right. Happy Sunday. Hi, Rosalind. Sophia. Happy Sunday. Hi, Effie Gaskin. Happy Sunday to you. I hope everybody is having a great Sunday. Thank y'all for being here. This is week 2 of my 7 Sundays to 2026. As I shared last week, hi Lorraine. Hey. I counted down as I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about last Sunday and realized that from last Sunday, there were 7 Sundays left before 2026, which is unbelievable. And it helped me launch a series for the 7 Sundays, 7 being completion, 7 getting us to 2026. And so we started talking about that kind of stuff. We talked about last week, we talked about thresholds, entering thresholds and things propelling us into different places. And we talked about standing, at the edge of where of who you've been and who you're becoming. And we tied it into the Becoming series that I hosted a month or so ago. And so today we're going to go a little bit deeper, talking about some of the things that shape us in something that shapes us in ways that we don't often talk about, and that is identity shifts. And um, sometimes identity shifts are loud, big. An example can be um, identity shifts around not lost, loss, identity shifts around, say, getting a divorce, where you're, when I say loud, it is basically announced, like you're now two separate entities and people have to know it and you got to figure out who you are. So sometimes identity shifts are loud, but then sometimes they're not loud at all. They're just the quiet exit, the quiet shift. And they don't these the ones that we're going to talk about, they don't require you to explain things. So in the example I just gave of a divorce, now folks have got to explain. You got to explain. If you got kids, you got to explain to the parents. You got to explain to your circle of friends. If you're on the socials, folks feel like you got to explain to the socials. I don't believe that. But the quiet exits, the quiet shifts, you don't have to explain. And there have been moments in my life that have changed me quietly. There have been moments that have changed me bigly. Um, the big ones, they're kind of obvious. The quiet ones are when you wake up and realize I'm not the same person I was yesterday, or last week. Some of my big shifts, like there was a big shift for me when my daughter left and went to undergrad. Like my whole world shifted because up to her leaving at 18 years old, absolutely, my whole world was focused around being a mother, being her mother, and doing all of the mother things. Like that was my whole entire life. And it was an immediate shift, like dropping her off at undergrad and then going back home, and everything's different. The house is quiet, the house is emptier. Um and now you got to figure out who you are, because my whole identity was associated with being her mother. Not that I wasn't her mother anymore. Y'all know what I'm saying. Um, but she was moving into a different journey. And then so my identity had to shift. That's not the shift. Those aren't the types of shifts that we're talking about today. We're not talking about um shifts that have drama. We're not talking about shifts that require big announcements. It's the moment where you realize I'm not the same person, I'm not the same woman I was before. And some of those don't require you to tell a full story, or don't require even a full story for yourself. You just know that you're different. Sometimes these shifts don't have to be justified, they don't have to be explained. Hey, WLJ. Um, they just are. And everybody has them, especially Black women, as we're navigating life, family, work, this world, healing, new seasons. We have shifts. Right now, a lot of us are experiencing shifts in relationships and social circles as we navigate um, this current world. And that those are bigger shifts. Those are the loud shifts, but those aren't the ones that we're going to talk about today. As we were going through the becoming series, I think a lot of you recognize those identity shifts in yourself in doing that work. So these are the shifts that don't require explanation. It is, when we think about it, so oftentimes we associate identity shifts with crisis. It doesn't always have to be associated with crisis. It doesn't always have to be associated with trauma. But regardless, it is going to move us. An identity shift moves us in a new direction. Sometimes it can happen. This quiet one can happen through clarity. It can happen through healing. It can happen through new capacity. If I think about those three things as I've shared my post-stroke journey, I've had all of those. The clarity, a shift in clarity, a shift because of clarity, a shift because of healing, a shift because of new capacity. And it's happened at different points. And this has all been since December 2023. Um, the the healing shift, like, I had a stroke and then now got to heal. And so there's an identity shift as I'm navigating all of this healing. So I've got to be tough. I got to be doing, all of these things. This is change. I wasn't Prior to that, I wasn't dealing with healing and understanding the changes happening to my body. So then I shifted that way. And then the clarity that I've shared in the neurological testing, that opened a whole new understanding of self for me. That clarity, there was the clarity there that required a shift. The new capacity, like, as I've shared, that good morning, y'all. Thank you. Congratulations, Sophia. You sound like you're good with it, so that's why I'm giving you my congratulations. My brain is different, as I've shared. So my there's a new identity associated with capacity. Sometimes an identity shift happens because the truth finally landed. Like, you finally have accepted something maybe that you've been in denial about. Um, if I think about ways for me in, like, recognizing, like, sometimes you finally get to the acknowledgement that the relationship is over. People, places, and things. Like, sometimes you finally recognize, I'm not going back to that place anymore. I'm not we're not friends like I thought we were friends. I'm a people pleaser, and this has been one-sided. The reciprocity isn't there. Like, the truth finally hits you. Like, it's been there, but it finally lands. It doesn't, again, there's oftentimes on social media, when people are unfollowing somebody, and they'll come in and say, I don't agree with what you just said, and I'm unfollowing you. And then you see people say, it's not an airport, you don't have to announce that you're leaving. That is the way the quiet shifts happen. I don't have to tell you that I'm not doing you anymore. We it just and part of that, I had a conversation yesterday with one of my girlfriends, and her birthday is a few days after mine. We're both Leos, and we were talking about how we don't really have the gray area. We are black and white. We struggle with gray areas. And so sometimes in friendships and relationships, like, when they start heading towards what would be that gray area, and you try to, as it's getting to that point, you try to have the conversations, this is how I'm feeling, this is what we need to do. And then things don't change, and we flip right to the white. Like, it was black, and we flip right to the white. There's no in between. And so I don't have to announce it. I just don't do you. If it is that type of relationship where now, let me go back. There are some relationships that require announcements that this isn't working anymore. Friendships, family relationships, romantic relationships. Some you want to honor with that level of respect. Some that are maybe more associates, or some where you feel like I've expended all of the energy that I am going to expend in saying that we're getting to this place. There's not an announcement. It's just a quick cut. And I am I am over to the white, and we're good. There's the truth finally landed, so that we don't have to have we don't have to have that conversation. Um, a quiet exit can be, or a quiet identity shift can happen when your body says no from a physical standpoint. I've also explained that, like this is kind of associated with the capacity, or my body said on December 23rd, as I have been trying to navigate a very a very stressful work environment, stressful manager, in trying to put a plan in place to figure out how to, okay, um figure out how to get to the other side of that. And my body was like, we done. My body gave it the deuces. My body was like, no, we this is it. I'm calling it. You haven't called it yet. I'm calling it. Um Sometimes that identity shift, that quiet shift, happens the moment you see yourself clearly. Like, these are things that maybe have been brewing. Exactly. We're just gonna let you sit in Leo's just gonna let you sit in your choices. Absolutely. You'll figure it out. Um, Sometimes it is just the recognition that, oh, this is who I am. This is how I've changed. This is who I this is what was happening. And you finally see it for what it is. Yourself, a situation. Or it can be the identity shift can happen because stuff just no longer fits. It's no longer serving you. Um, the situation just isn't for you anymore, and that requires an identity shift. Sometimes that shift will show up before you even have the words to call it, to explain what it is. Um, I keep going back to, because it was a major shift for me. Um, during that during 2024 post stroke, I was completely different. I didn't have the words for um why I was different. Um Brit Bridget just said her granny used to say, I can show you better than I can tell you. Absolutely. Um Absolutely. I can always show you better than I can tell you. Sometimes the words ain't even required. Just watch me. Um But yeah, the shift will happen before you can put language and words around it. You shift internally first, and then the environment, the world catches up with it. I knew I was shifting. I just didn't have words or understand it. And that's been true for me. It's also been very true for other friends, as I watch friends' stories unfold, as women are simplifying their lives, moving differently, preparing for a next chapter, and doing it quietly, like not needing to broadcast it. Is just like, okay, what does next look like? And it's not something that requires a big announcement, but you're moving into a new direction. I did any of y'all remember last week I was talking about human design? Did anybody look into the human design? I keep talking about it. I wonder if anybody else did it. Lorraine said she is cleaning house now. I feel lighter, unapologetically focused on serving me. Absolutely. Um, but that human design concept, and I was talking about it last week. I was explaining it. Um, it's a free thing that you can do on the interwebs, and put in your birth date. It's important to know the exact time you were born if you can know that or can get very close to it. And then you put in the city where you were born, and it gives you, hey, it gives you your human design based on that. And I talked about it last week, and the shifts that, very cool, Bridget. Bridget said she did hers. The shifts that um have had that I recognized in doing my human design work. So my um I am a projector per my human design profile, and as I've been working through all of it, I am a projector. I have been there's manifester generator, maybe it's a reflector, um and projector, and I might be missing something, but very cool. I'm glad y'all are doing y'all's. Um, what I realized is I'm a projector. I have been operating in a generator mode, a hustle, get the stuff done, project management, product management. And it's the way my brain worked prior to my stroke. And what my profile says is that I really shouldn't, and I've been struggling trying to figure out how to get back to that more pronounced exact way of operating. I shared as I was working on putting my house back together, and this room that I'm sitting in, the sunroom was, the sunroom and the screened-in porch had to literally be put back together. And so as I was doing all this work and trying to figure out, steps one to 10, and then as I unloaded that pod and was trying to put stuff back in, it took me a lot longer than it normally would, and there were so many times I felt like I was spinning my wheels because I wasn't working in my what I considered my normal get shit done way of getting shit done. I'm That's not who I'm really designed to be per my human design. I've operated in that way for so very long, and oftentimes we have to operate in ways. For me, that was how I got paid. That is how I was able to make money operating in um, my career. Started out kind of receptionist, as I hadn't finished my degree yet. So started out receptionist. Then I went to administrative assistant. Then I went to office manager, and then I went to corporate event planner, and then I went to project manager and product management. All of this was self-trained because um, I needed to make a certain level of money. And so as I was watching careers and people moving and who was making more money, a lot of that was, okay, I need to move in that direction because that's like a trajectory of where I'm working, but it makes more money. And so much of that was, if I look at it now, it's like a almost a trauma response because I needed to make money as a young single mother to take care of my child. And but now understanding my human design, it makes sense for me in the ways that I should be operating. Um, so my identity is shifting again so that I can, and it's not that I'm reinventing myself per se. It is I'm recognizing myself because this isn't a new person. It is, and I've talked about reinventing yourself. I feel like you should reinvent yourself as many damn times as you want to. My explanation here is that this isn't a reinvention for me. This is recognizing who I am and or not, and recognizing myself. And so it's like something it is a clarity, kind of very much like extreme clarity that became available in my identity shift after my neurological testing. Oh, that's who I am. And then this is another, oh, that's who I am. Something in me came into focus. Something I'm recognizing who I am. And when you start recognizing who you are as in this new identity shift, you can't keep trying to be that other person. Like it just doesn't fit. You you haven't announced it, but you also aren't that person. Like it's not like, okay, today, when you announce a divorce, okay, as of this date, we're no longer a couple. And now you have to be in this new identity. This isn't that type of thing. It's not an announcement, but it's very clear there's a split. There's a fracture. I'm no longer that person. You can't pretend to be that person. And so what my doing this human design work is helping me realize that or recognize is things that I was carrying that really aren't mine to carry. It's not the way I need to move. It's not the way I need to operate. Um, and this is I'm very happy to be doing this work at the end of this year, because, like I shared, moving into New Year's from into a new year. I'm not New Year's like the day. Moving into a new year, I always want to do some of that internal work so that I'm making sure that I'm aligned in where I want to go, who I want to be, where I want to go for a new year. And so I encourage you to look into human design. It's free. You don't have to pay anything to go out there and figure that out. It was this an eye-opening thing for me. Um, Evelyn is asking, did they also tell you that your talents and abilities required you to keep moving up? We should have turned around and headed back down the hill. Healthier people. Absolutely. Absolutely. So as the trajectory of moving up that ladder led to stroke, because there are so many more expectations of you. I would have much rathered, if I could have paid my bills, to sit there and answer the phone as a receptionist. Oh, line one, so and so, line one. Let me transfer you. Let me take a message. Man, are you kidding me? And then you walk away, and I don't have to remember nothing. I don't have to think about over the weekend, did I transfer that to line one? You don't have to do any of that. If I could have figured out how to pay the bills and raise a child on being a receptionist, that would have been excellent. Project management. Over the weekend, I'm thinking about work that needs to be done on Monday, things I didn't finish. Did I forget to send this email? I ain't on Saturday, I ain't worried about, did I transfer the call to the right extension, or did so and so get the voicemail? So absolutely, I agree with that 100%. Sophia saying, I call it my new normal after a car accident on the job left me permanently disabled 30 years ago. It is the new normal. Absolutely. That's the identity shift. I say mine for me is post stroke and my new brain. So I can absolutely relate to that. As I'm talking about these identity shifts, so I also shared last week about the off ramp and like this ecosystem as I'm doing all of this work and this shifting and understanding how to align um, who who I am, the work that I do within the movement, the things that I talk about, the ways I help people, my tiny house journey, tiny houses. Like as I've started working with mentors and trying to align all of the things so I didn't feel so disjointed and things were all over the place. And what that came out was it's the off ramp. It is, if you metaphorically, if you think about a highway, um, all of this is leaving the highway of hustle, bustle, stress, traffic, congestion, being late, being stuck, all of that, the stress of that, and exiting the off ramp, exiting the off ramp to freedom, exiting the off ramp to joy, exiting the off ramp to peace of mind, exiting the off ramp to living intentionally, exiting the off ramp to all of those things. And so everything, it made sense again in this identity shift, this work shift, everything that I do, these conversations, my tiny house courses, the community, it is helping me, my own personal tiny house journey helps me to exit the all of that into more aligned intentional living, and that's what I want to help others and offer to others. And so the off ramp is metaphorically that thing. Sometimes when you're exiting places, sometimes it is, I don't know if any of y'all drive or drove stick shifts. Sometimes it is the downshifting because you're going too fast on in this congested space. So you're downshifting, slowing down. So sometimes it's the exit involves some downshifting. Sometimes it's changing lanes. You're over here in the fast lane and you need to again slow down. So you're downshifting, you're changing lanes. And then you get to that exit. Um Identity shifts are just like that, exits. It's not a detour. It's not something that you go off and figure out and then you're going to circle back around to this old person. It's not, it's the finality. So it's not just the lane change. It is the exit. This was this identity is over here. This is the new identity. It's not a pause. It's new. It's the finality of getting off on that exit, where this particular road isn't where I want to be anymore. This road isn't mine. I'm moving off of this road. We're going on this exit. We're moving off of Peachtree Street. We're going down Buford Highway. Um, Folks in Atlanta know those names, and so that is what the off ramp represents. It is where you understand I can't move at that pace anymore. I don't want to move at that pace anymore. I can't carry that old role anymore. I can't, and again, I don't want to. I can't carry those expectations anymore. I can't ignore my body anymore. I can't ignore what my body is trying to tell me. That's dangerous. That's why we talk about it here. That's ignoring our body is dangerous. Or I can't pretend to be who I was. I'm no longer that person. I don't want to pretend to be that person. And again, it's a quiet exit. You don't have to go out and make an announcement. You don't have to make a Facebook post to say I'm not the same person I was last Tuesday. It's Sunday, and we're not doing. We don't have to do any of that. It doesn't have to be the status change. It's complicated. It is the quiet exit. Absolutely. Teresa is saying making a conscious decision to value self instead of what the rat race has to offer. That's the exit. That you can make it loud if you want to. You can stand up on your desk at work and tell folks that you quit and where they can go, or you can quietly do it. There's the thing that folks are talking about now, the quiet quitting, where you recognize you got hired to be this role, and over the course of time, you're this role plus 10 other things that they gave you to do that they don't pay you for, that you just been doing, and the expectation is that you're going to keep doing them. But that ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's the quiet quitting. I'm not doing all these extra 10 things. I got hired for this, and this is what I'm going to do. So absolutely. Rosalind is saying the same thing. I concur. Tiny living has afforded me the option to take a more fulfilling, less stressful job. That was my intention. To When I say my why, I talk about the why in the master class, knowing your why and why that is so important. My why in building my tiny house was to live in no freedom. And that is what I shared. Having to be um, taking as a young single mom, having to take care of my daughter meant, and I'm not saying that I didn't want to. Y'all understood. Y'all know what I'm talking about. There were so many jobs where I just said, get up on your desk. There were so many jobs I wanted to get up on my desk and tell them what I thought about them and quit and walk out and be dramatic. Or I don't know if there's this video where a man quit his job and he hired a band to come in. I think it was a Marachi band to come in. Something dramatic. I have never had the opportunity to quit a job dramatically. I've only been able to quit a job when I had another job lined up. Like so it hasn't ever been, oh, they got on my nerves today. I ain't coming back. No, we can't do that. Live in no freedom, my intention in building my house was to allow me to make job choices and decisions based on how my body felt, how I liked the job, how it worked with my time versus the job pays X amount of dollars and I need X amount of dollars to pay my bills. And um that was so much of my why as well. Um, Catherine is saying last Sunday her brother said not being able to be who he was used to make him depressed. Interesting. I'm sorry. I mean, there is emotion obviously involved in it. Like um, my book about that Bruce wrote about life quakes. Absolutely. But the thing we have to try to work on and the thing we have to try to figure out is the blessings and the lessons in that instead of focusing on the bad that will leave us in states of depression. Is there a lesson that can be learned from it? Is there a silver lining somewhere in it? Is there a ray of something that you can pick up in and be grateful about? That you're alive. That's a big one. Um So absolutely, we can't ignore the fact that there are emotions and sometimes sadness, and we talked about that in the becoming, like how to manage grief as you're going through this shift because grief is absolutely often associated with it. So sometimes you feel like I'm headed into a good space, but I'm still sad about leaving this person, this who I've identified as for this all this time behind. So absolutely there's some work to be done there. I agree. Absolutely, Bridget. Um Good morning, Tanya. All right. I am so glad for this community as it has allowed me to make a stand for myself, saying no and implementing my exit strategy. It sure has allowed you that, and I'm so proud of you because you do it well now. Congratulations. Absolutely, I agree with that. Um, so that's the off ramp. It's leaving this old highway of survival, of being in survival mode instead of thriving like we should be thriving. It is leaving expectations. It's leaving doing it all. And oftentimes we're doing it all and we're not doing it well, but we're doing it all. It's leaving that highway. It is, and stepping into a different path, a different road, the off ramp. Sometimes it has to be fast. Sometimes you can take your time with it. You should try to be intentional with it so that you can align with who this new person is, what this identity shift is calling you, who this identity shift is calling you to be. Um, as an identity shift happening as you're feeling it, happening, is telling you it's time to take that exit. It tells you that I've become this different version of myself. Um, you have to find that video. It is a really cool video. Rosalind is singing Quitting with Marachi band. It's hilarious. It is very hilarious. Um, but it's also paying attention to the shift, like not not trying to suppress said shift. That's one of the things that sometimes you'll get in trouble with in um seeing change, feeling change, but not honoring that change, and not being able to understand that you're being called to do something different. And so we are requiring ourselves to honor the shifts as we feel them happening. Um, Absolutely. I agree with both of those things. So, um, Natasha says she is so clear. She's so clear. It is a beautiful thing to watch. Um, so this is this is there were 7 Sundays to 2026 last Sunday. So this is 6 Sundays to 2026. Six, as I shared last week, represents balance and harmony. 7 is completion, 6 is balance and harmony. Um, and that's what we're as we're thinking of how we move through these shifts. Absolutely want to be balanced. We want to be in harmony. And as we move through to 2026, we want to be thinking, want to be asking ourselves, like, where recognizing so we can be ready. If we did the work in becoming, we're doing this we got 6 Sundays left in this shift. Where has your identity shift started? Where has it happened? Where is it shifting, maybe quietly, that you haven't even yet named? um Identify places where you know you are no longer the person that you used to be, and places where your truth, your personal truth, is becoming clearer. Because if you are, I think it was Bridget just mentioned journaling. Yeah, if you are journaling, if you being in your quiet space, remember early in the year no, it was in the last year, we made us a space so that we could be in quiet, um, as we were preparing for 2025. If you are being in that space and taking your time to be, even if that is your car seat, your front seat in the car, just a space where you can be and be quiet for just a few minutes so that you can settle down and listen. Your truths should be becoming clearer, but you got to be quiet to listen. Like it ain't happening if you always somewhere being loud and not willing to sit with yourself. You got to be open to sitting with yourself and figure out the truths that are calling you. And it's not a story that you're telling yourself. We're not, hopefully not associating it with trauma. We're not explaining other than to ourselves. It's just shifting. If you need to explain to yourself, that's one thing, but we need to explain to other people. Rosalind just said, leaving the expectations of others allows you to thrive, not just survive. We don't have to announce it. It's not a, it's not a airport. You don't have to announce you're leaving. We're just shifting and shifting for our personal benefit. It's the quiet exit is the quiet shift. What y'all got over there? Are you what does it say? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I don't like that for some reason. It sounds so goofy to me. I keep seeing people say, I'm picking up what you putting down." I don't know where maybe it came from something. I don't know. Um, Teresa says staying around loud places is something I don't do as much anymore because it disturbs my peace. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is one of the things that I have learned about my new brain. I can't be in a place of confusion. There's a lot going on. It disturbs my brain. I struggle in conversation with somebody who talks really quickly, like just like my brain after a while is gonna shut down. Like I can't even try to focus. Um, and so I'm with you. My new brain, my post-stroke brain, requires peace, and I appreciate that because I prefer that, so I relate to that as well. Um, yeah, I agree with that as well, Evelyn. Um, so that with today's the quiet exits, the quiet shifts. Next Sunday, we're going to talk about the moments where life just busts you wide open and the clarity that comes after that. Um, we all have them where something just something planned, something unplanned. It just busts you wide open, but then you have to deal with the aftermath of that. And it's a lot of, I keep referring to the life quakes and finding out the good, looking for the good after that. It doesn't have to be something that takes you out. It can be a transformation. It can be um, some good that comes from being broke wide open. WLJ is saying, I was listening to Maya Angelou's speech, and she said, you have to learn to move in silence because if you don't, you will only hear the noise and be unable to hear your own thoughts. I agree with that. Absolutely. That's very true. All right. So that's next week what we're talking about. These conversations that I'm having, again, they're part of the off ramp, moving, exiting to our liberation, to our peace, to our joy. Um, all those things that we are deserving of. It is the things that are our birthright that our current society doesn't support, and that's what we're working on. Our exits. We're working on the off ramp. It is the work, the stuff that I'm led to do personally, and the stuff that I just share. I want to share with y'all. All right. Thank you, Sophia. Thank y'all for being here. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody has a good week. Um, for some of us, the week might be challenging. For some of us, we're good. Keep in mind that you should prioritize yourself first. I think I might have forgot to pick out my hair. I see some alfalfa stuff happening at the end of said said session. I don't think I did my hair. Um, anyway, so take care of yourself this week. Just be mindful of your energy and what your energy needs. Um, Folks in my communities, the Patreon, we're transitioning from Patreon, but Patreon is still there. The Soul Collective, I shared a resource around the holidays and what how we should be taking care of ourselves. Like we're not doing stuff for folks' expectations. Um, so make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Absolutely. Thank y'all for being here. Um, oh, thank y'all. Y'all see my hair sticking up. Y'all could have asked me, did I do my hair this morning? But I didn't, as I think about it. But thank y'all. Um, Thank you very much. Y'all have a great week. Um, Happy Sunday. Happy good week. Happy Native American have some food week. I shared on this. I'm not even gonna do that one. For the folks who are not in alignment with practicing what my shirt says, practicing radical empathy. Um, Here in Charlotte, I will say it. Here in Charlotte, we've had a lot of ice activity this week, and it's been heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking, throughout the world. Everything that's happening is heartbreaking. But I have recognized the irony and the disconnect in the folks who are celebrating what is happening with ICE, as they also put out their Christmas decorations. Jesus was brown. As they get ready to celebrate Thanksgiving. It's the Native Americans here. Um, so yeah, y'all have a good week. They have been off the chain. Y'all be safe. Be in community, be in good community, be in community that is reciprocal, that makes you feel good. Don't go nowhere you don't want to go. Um, and I'll see y'all next Sunday. Y'all take care. Thank y'all for being here.